Welcome to today's episode of Between Neens and Deens. My name is Nina, and I'm joined by my best friend, partner, and baby daddy, Dayon.
And together, we're a couple of 20-something-year-olds just trying to navigate this whole first-time parenting thing.
So we're laying it all out there and talking about all the things you wish your parents told you about love, sex, and happiness.
So this is a very special episode. It's a little bit different from any of our other ones. This is our first time actually having a guest.
Yay!
So it's no longer about Neens and Deens. Right now we have a special guest, an interior designer, Taylor.
So Taylor and I actually met at UBC. As you guys know, I was studying sociology. You also majored in sociology, right?
Yes.
And so we took a bunch of classes together. We had some mutual friends, and actually a couple of weeks ago you reached out to me because you're in interior design school and you're doing some work in interior design. So you're doing that at BCIT, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And you finish in November. So crazy. How does that feel?
It's actually crazy. I can't believe that it just goes by so fast.
Yeah.
Like as a student, I'm sure you guys remember being like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to school.
Yeah.
But then you're like, okay, well, this isn't going to be forever. So
yeah. And how long is the program?
So BCIT offers a few options. So they offer the 1-year certificate program. Mm-hmm. They do the 2-year diploma and then the 4-year bachelor's.
Oh, crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And it is just, you learn a bunch of different things, but the core stuff that you should know is all in your first year. So that's what I've been doing. That's
nice.
Finishing.
Amazing. Congrats. Early congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, but I guess we'll just get into a couple of things that we want to get to know about you and how you started Taylor Rico Design. That's your interior design company.
Yes.
Which is amazing. Congrats.
Thank you.
So I guess how did you know that you wanted to do interior design?
Honestly, I really didn't. It's really funny because when I was in UBC, I was so convinced that I wanted to do event planning and wedding planning.
I actually remember talking to you about this.
Right?
Yeah.
and so I was thinking I don't even know why I'm at UBC, and I'm just thinking what, I'm learning a lot. Sociology is a great thing to study, so I'm just going to follow through, and I'm sure that it will carry me forward and benefit me with whatever I end up doing. Mm-hmm. So when I finished, I was thinking okay, well, let's start events. I did a wedding. I did a lot of stuff with my sorority, with semis and formals.
Yeah.
And I just love to take the lead in those kind of things. But I just found it kind of becoming a bit stale for me. Mm-hmm. And I found that out actually by providing a lot of opportunities for myself. So I threw a lot of events myself. I created those gatherings just to see no one's going to hand anything over to you. You really have to promote yourself. Mm-hmm. And when I found that I was kind of getting tired of it, at the time I was in the restaurant industry, I was thinking, oh my God, let's just take this online quiz. It took me 30 minutes to do.
Oh my God. Wait, what quiz is this?
I feel like I just Googled it. It was like a what do you want to do when you grow up? Those classic Google.
I've taken so many of those.
That's hilarious.
So I did that. I answered a bunch of questions, and then at the end it spits you out 3 potential occupations.
Yeah.
And I thought that they were relatively correct because I'm pretty creative, but the first one was architecture, get into architecture, fashion design, which is thanks, but no.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to you. Yeah. You guys. Yeah. And then the third one was interior design. And
easy.
I didn't even second guess it. I was like, oh my God, this is totally something I want to do.
Yeah.
Sick.
That's amazing.
Wow, this quiz decided your fate.
Yeah. I know.
It was this is what you're meant to do.
But that's so crazy because it's I feel it's so important that what you wanted to do was events. It's what you thought you wanted to do, and then you tried it and you're this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And I feel I've definitely had experiences like that too with just trying different jobs, and you always think that your dream job is something until you actually try it and you're oh, the day-to-day is not what I expected, the repetition of it is not what I expected. So that's awesome that you were able to recognize that before I feel getting trapped in this is what I have to do and years down the line.
Yeah.
Because you're still so young.
And I feel I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here.
No,
with
all good.
Occupations, but I feel it's so easy for us to feel like we're pressured to have our life together. So when it comes to changing occupations, it gives a lot of people, well, it gave me so much anxiety.
It's scary.
Right?
Yeah.
So I guess like after you took the quiz and you're like, this is what I want to do, at that point, did you ever consider, I guess, being like self-taught, or were you like, I want to go like the school route, and like how did you make that decision?
Right. So I did a lot of research on interior design, and people actually get interior decorator and design mixed up. They're two very different things, and we can go over that later. But I definitely knew I wanted to go to school because there's so much tech behind interior design, not decorating.
Yeah.
But design.
I've seen your stories. It's a lot of, I'm like, whoa, how did she design that?
So like you're talking about like the software, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you're just working with that.
Oh yeah. I feel like that's something that, there's so many people saying, anyone can be an interior designer. True. Not everyone can be called a registered interior designer. But, it's because, we'll get into how you guys are designing your space, but you guys are doing an awesome job piecing it together on your own, And so that's interior decorating versus designing is when you choose to knock down walls. You want to put receptacles somewhere for electricity, and you figure out where you want to put your plumbing and make that work with your feng shui.
I didn't even know this.
We're like self-taught interior decorators.
Yeah,
We're just so good at it too. Oh my god.
Well, I think we're good at it for ourselves. Like if I had to design for somebody else,
we'd be like, okay, I hear you with what you want with black, but have you considered a pastel?
they're like, no, that's just weird.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually so good to know. So some of the questions, we'll get into like more questions from our audience later, but like a couple of them were actually, what does an interior designer do? They're like, not to sound rude, but I was like, no, that's totally fair, because even I guess when and we'll get into this more, but like when we decided to work together, I was actually very confused. I was like, yeah, I need help like with organizing stuff. But that's like all very different jobs that I'm learning now.
What job is that? Is that an interior organizer?
Interior organizer. I don't even know.
Nina was like, yeah, I guess like she can probably help us like organize certain things that like we just don't know where to put.
Dan was like, no, I don't think she can do that. I'm like, no, she can.
I'm like, I don't think that's her job, to be honest.
It's actually really interesting because that's actually something that storage is something that a lot of people forget. A lot of people get wrapped up in like what they want to get or what they want to put in their space and what they want to make the aesthetic look like. But at the end of the day, when you buy, you're also collecting. And you also need places to put those objects because, not all of them are seasonal. There's Christmas decorations. So
that's us. That's our problem.
Storage.
We have so much crap, but okay, so the next thing that I kind of want to hear a little bit about, because I don't actually know this, is, so you're in school and you've obviously started working with clients. So I think like a lot of people, myself included, are wondering kind of what the process is like to, one, build up your own company,
right?
But then also like how do you start getting clients? Because obviously you're in school,
right?
So like how do you secure that first client?
Honestly, for me, I really didn't think that for the scale that my business is, the direction that my business has taken. I feel like to me, even though it's really small to your average firm, I feel like I took off a little bit because, and I didn't even mean to. Like initially, what I was thinking is, I just really want to know my stuff, go to school, get that done, and then just dive into the industry. Because before school, I was lucky enough to be included in some projects just around my house, some places in Whistler, and in a few parts of like a restaurant that I used to work at. So ultimately for me, I figured that the new way to promote yourself is on IG, Instagram, and I just figured, maybe just put my work out there, introduce myself to the Instagram world, use some hashtags here and there, make some stories. And I really originally thought of it as like an online portfolio. Really is honestly what I thought it would be, and get some support from my friends. And, like that was just kind of, my friends are everything to me, so they've just been gassing me up, and, like, you're awesome, and,
Yeah, no, your posting is amazing. It's, like, really on point. I love looking at your little stories, and I'm like, oh, design inspo.
But, yeah, so initially I started with that, and then now he's not one of my clients, but they actually reached out to me, and initially I was like, whoa, I'm not really sure if I want to do this right now. And then I thought about it because the idea of taking on a project when I'm in school, it's really, to some people maybe is challenging, but to me it's exhilarating. I live for this kind of excitement.
Yes, we love that energy.
And so I just figured, like, so many times you're going to think, oh, I'm not ready. Like imposter syndrome here and there, like your recent post, totally resonate with it. But then at the same time, like, okay, well, you're never actually going to feel ready because you're just going to psych yourself out. You just kind of have to like take the jump and then hit the ground running, really. Yeah. So I took it on, and from there I've gotten some more people reaching out, and yeah, I feel like I'm really excited to say that I'm booked for the year.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So thank you.
I'm clapping so much, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so much. But
That's awesome.
yeah, it's definitely, that's actually how I started getting my clients. And interior design, it is very different each time because you meet different people, but it is the process is pretty repetitive. So you get quicker with how you do things, and then you will feel more comfortable taking on more work as well. So that's another thing. Like, always go after what you want and provide those experiences for yourself, because there are no free handouts. Because at the end of the day, this is a place that someone's going to live in. Yeah. You can't, as a designer, constructive criticism is so key, and it's a big part of the industry. And I feel like it's really swept under the rug a lot of the times in the media, because everything looks so perfect. But the amount of ideas that have been turned down to get to that one point it's pretty crucial. So, it's just really important.
Yeah. And you're great at that. You gave us so many ideas, and I'm like, wow, I never even thought about doing this to this space. Yeah. So how did you determine your niche? I don't really even know if there are niches in interior design, but I imagine you're not going to just take on every single client under the sun, because there's going to be specific things that you want to focus on, I'm assuming.
Right. So my specific niche, being in Vancouver, we are very environmentally aware in Vancouver. We're recycling left and right. Plastic straws are frowned upon. That's just the world we live in Vancouver. I understand that it's not the same in a lot of different parts of the world.
It should be. Yeah.
You telling me.
Say
with your chest.
But with my niche, I would say I don't want to close off any sort of concepts or designs that people want for their space, because I really want to listen to what you guys or my clients really want in their space, and then I would incorporate sustainability into it. Whether that be refurbished flooring or an accent wall, or even just small accents around the room. You guys do a lot of vintage shopping, and that is also sustainable too. And I feel like there's such a big stigma behind sustainability, but that is really the direction that the world is going in. What I found was there are very few design firms that offer that specific kind of service to the Vancouver market, or even just around the world. And I just figured, I'm so passionate about it, I want to do that for them. And I understand that this is going to hit a lot of nerves for people that are already very established in the industry, and I have gotten a lot of backlash.
Really?
Yeah, I've gotten some backlash. And it's just breaking those traditional ways of being in the industry, is just something that I value, because I'm not someone to just fall in line and just lay back and be like, okay, I'll just follow the crowd. For me, I'm watching California burn, and Australia and the Amazon, and species are dying, and for me, I don't want to feed into it. Yeah. As I know a lot of people in Vancouver are aware too. So I just want to provide that service for them.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it.
Sustainability.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
important.
Exactly.
And it's I feel like with any industry that you're in, I guess I never considered it with interior design, because I feel like the conversation, at least for me, and probably because of the space that we occupy, is around fashion and maybe even food, because obviously everyone eats. But I never even considered it with interior design, and I feel like it's so important moving forward that we're not going to be able to do it perfectly. There's going to be times where you like have to consume things that are maybe like
Exactly.
not sustainable, but it's being mindful, and it's amazing that you've been able to start a business that is mindful.
Right.
And I feel like feel like that's all that we can really
It's really
do.
important, because like, I mean, there's a lot of waste with just everything that humans do, and it's just insane, like, all the things that go into making a piece of furniture, and like for me personally, it's just so sad to like just see someone throw that out. You know what I mean? So like that's why for us, like we love secondhand stuff, and like it's just extra nice when it has like a story to it, and you know what I mean? Like we kind of try to be as sustainable as possible, but it's like
the thing is we never even sought out. I think like growing up with like the way that our family shops, or at least like in my experience, it's like we always went to thrift stores. So we never did it because it was sustainable. We did it out of necessity, but like I mean it's great.
It was also fun for me.
Yeah. It's like,
fun to, like,
attic treasures.
I think it's really sick when someone can like find something that I guess to someone else is trash and turn into treasure. You know what I mean? Like like how the saying goes. But like you can obviously make like things very beautiful, and like it's just you just gotta work on it and like see it in a way. So,
I just feel like it's so fulfilling. I feel like for those people who really do value being mindful about the environment. Just sitting in a space and just knowing that, you saved this one piece of plastic from, being purchased and potentially being thrown away. And another thing with you guys doing a lot of thrifting, I also want to encourage donating. If you have, drawers or chairs, don't throw it away, donate it, because, someone's trash is another person's treasure.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because even like for small things for us, like even if we like something from IKEA, the first thing that we're gonna do is look at Facebook Marketplace, if that exists. Because I mean, like IKEA is
it's so common.
Like it's so it's so common that like you're gonna end up probably finding, and you can just search it by name, and you'll probably end up finding that on Facebook Marketplace, and like you might as well buy it used, because I mean, if you're not gonna buy it from that person, what is that person gonna do? Probably throw it out, right? And that's just like an extra thing in the landfill. So like you might as well just grab it, and you grab it for cheaper. So I mean, So we always search first. Like if there's something we like at IKEA, then we know that like we'll probably find it on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I think sustainability is really important, and it's great that like you're putting that into like your thought process with designing clients' homes. So it's really important.
I just also wanted to reiterate that when we talk about sustainability, and I'm not at all encouraging cutting, like shopping online cold turkey and just like rummaging through whatever you want.
Landfill.
Yeah, the landfill, or like I want.
So no dumpster diving?
So if you work with me, we will find all of our things in the dumpster.
Oh my god. No, that is not how it is. But it would be, just being mindful. I know everyone is doing their best. At the end of the day, I know everyone's doing their best. And I also want to take their voice and put that into their space, whether they say, you know what, like I really like these vintage vases, or I really like this sculpture that I found here. It is sustainable because it's secondhand or whatever, but I do also really like this chair, and it's in Pottery Barn, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, like that's totally okay. It's just to get the conversation started, because that's something that I feel like is so important.
100%.
I don't think that like with any conversation about sustainability, it doesn't have to be done 100%. I think it's just introducing it to the conversation, because people are going to have varying levels of how comfortable they are with like secondhand things and reusing things. So
Exactly.
I guess like there is potentially, I mean, I don't know too much about like the furniture industry, but I'm sure that there's like probably a lot of places that can make brand new stuff, but like in a sustainable way, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I guess like maybe even finding things like that are new, but still like with sustainability in their mind, right? Because because like I mean, you can buy something that's brand new, but it could be made out of recycled materials, or
exactly,
or like made in a way that isn't.
Yeah, I know that IKEA is like, they recently launched for like their 2020.
Yeah, I did see that.
They recently launched a bunch of stuff that's like made with sustainability in mind. So it's cool to see that shift happening. And I mean, it's like IKEA is like a huge brand, but it's also at the end of the day, people. Like it's affordable, like people are gonna have to shop there sometimes. So.
The world, I mean, like it's a focus, like it has to be a part of our
if everyone
direction.
If everyone moves a little bit
Yeah,
towards
even the tiniest bit, like,
Yeah.
even the tiniest bit means something, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, like there was one artist that took pieces of plastic from the ocean and like put it and melted it all together to be a mural, and that's also one of the
That's
most
sick.
that's a really expensive piece now.
yeah. It's, I mean, like, being sustainable too is not really cheap. Like, I mean, recycling is, like, pretty expensive. Because I remember in the print shop I used to work at, there was these 2 red chairs that were made of recycled bottle caps, of Coca-Cola bottle caps.
That's so
And yeah, I think each chair is $1,000. But
Oh my
like,
God.
but I mean, like, that whole process of like recycling stuff is like pretty, like, it's not easy to do. You know what I mean? So I mean, hats off. But like,
I
yeah,
think
if you can
that's
afford
why-
like sustainable
yeah.
stuff, that's you know, that's like amazing too. But yeah, it's not easy.
I think that's why like we need to be having the conversation more about it, because the only reason why it's so expensive right now is because we don't have like the machines
There's
and the
not enough
capability.
resources.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, like building an iPhone years ago would have been so incredibly expensive. Like the first computer was so expensive because we didn't have the capability to do it, but now it's a demand.
Yeah.
And so like if we're demanding it in the market, then it'll become more affordable to do.
Exactly.
Because like even with, I mean, this is super off topic, but even with like the brand that we're trying to build, I'm trying to find like a very sustainable supplier, and it's really difficult because like there just aren't a whole lot of companies out there that really are like, hey, we want to focus on innovating this space. Like, so I mean, like that's the thing is that because some companies might be trying to innovate, but other companies will do it out of, hey, this is what the consumer wants, let's just do it, and that's important too.
Yeah. So as clients and as consumers, like if we demand it, like these bigger
Exactly.
companies would be able to like find a more efficient, cheaper
Yeah.
way to do it. You know what
You
I mean?
gotta
Because
push it
right
in the
now
right
sustainability,
direction.
sustainability is
Exactly.
expensive, but I really feel like that's for now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, yeah, the resources aren't in place to do it because, yeah, but if it's a focus and if it's in everyone's like mind, then it can go that direction. You know what I mean?
It's actually interesting that you say that because it all starts with school too. Like if we're diving into BCIT, my experience at BCIT, and you know, before I go on, hats off to all the instructors that have dealt with this whole COVID-19 fiasco and have just, you know, worked really hard to like move our classrooms online because they're all doing so well. And, you know, us as students, like, I just want to say that we appreciate you so much. In speaking to the curriculum actually, which has nothing to do with the instructors, is really interesting because for me, I was always very aware of being sustainable before design. And so I remember like my very first course, the instructor told us like, this is how we do our curriculum. Essentially, there is a head department for interior design that reaches out, and they're the people that acknowledge those interior designers that finish the bachelor's program. And so they're technically like the head office. And they, every couple of years, I want to say 4 years, they look around the world, different cultures, and they take a look at what the students need to learn. And then they make the upgrade. So a recent upgrade was learning about sustainability and being eco-friendly.
Yeah.
Very recently. And so I was thinking when I first started the school, when I first started class, I was,
Of course.
yeah, I was thinking, oh yeah, this is so great. This is so something I want to do. And then I learn moving forward that, you know, it's learning about sustainability and being eco-friendly is maybe like some instructors or some parts of the curriculum that they'll make it the full class. And then some just kind of tie it to the end of a lecture. And so, you know, you really do see like what is important in their eyes because, you know, I feel like the big change needs to come from what's being taught in the curriculum. And another thing that kind of shook me is that when it comes to exams, we're not being tested on that stuff. It's just like, oh, just a side note, just know that making cotton is actually really bad for the environment.
It's not a priority.
Yeah, it's just like, just know this, just, you know. And I'm aware that, you know, it's more important to know what is a flammable material, you know, versus what is made from bamboo. But I feel like it should be something that needs to be held higher in the curriculum, and that's something that I stand by. And I personally, because I don't feel like I learned enough about sustainability in school, personally, I took it upon myself to do my own research.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
yeah, so that's another thing. I just really wish that the school system really delved into being more sustainable and eco-friendly, because I feel like it's just a good thing to know.
Yeah. So all the higher ups out there listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
you know what to do.
Yeah. It's actually funny, like, this is kind of off topic, but it does remind me of when I was in makeup school and we learned about, like...
You're in makeup school.
Yeah, I did it, like, between high school and college, like, that summer in between, but I remember learning about... I forget what the course or the class was even titled, but it was something, like, learning about, like, ethnic faces or something, and that was the day that we learned about, like, different eye shapes and, like, different skin tones. One fucking class.
No way.
One fucking class. And, like,
Oh my God.
it's, like, it's crazy because as an Asian person sitting there, I'm, like, I'm learning all these techniques about, like, eyeshadow and, like, you know, but, like, none of those things apply to me except for this one day. But I am an Asian person every fucking day. So it's, like, this is so off topic because it's not about sustainability, but it just goes to show how, like, there are, especially when you go to school, there's so many valuable things that you can learn, but how backwards and dated a lot of schooling can be because of because of who it's being taught by.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like, I mean, at that point I was so young and I was so new to education that I didn't bring it up with anybody, that I was like, hey, this is, like, not okay, or, like, I would really like to learn more about this. But
Right.
I guess, have you had any of those conversations with your instructors or anything about sustainability and maybe, like, having more of it?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
No, you know, it's really interesting because I feel like there's just such a divide. As much as, like, I hate to say it, there's just such a divide because there's a generation that, and I don't want to categorize, so I'm not going to say generation, but there are some people that feel like their way is the best and it's worked for them, so it's the best. But, you know, here we are, and we're much younger than they are, less experienced than those instructors, and, you know, we have opinions, we see what's going on, and I feel like in a lot of ways, as students talking to instructors, it can be a little bit abrasive to them, because it's like, oh, like,
What do you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like
like,
it happens a lot with art and, like, anything creative.
yeah. And so for me, I've been hesitant to talk about anything like that.
It's like, for those instructors, if you're gonna be an expert in your field, like, it is on you to be aware of, like, what's happening in the world. And I feel like it's interesting to me, I guess this is probably just because we are, like, young people growing up in this generation, but, like, sustainability is such a big part of the conversation that it's, like, crazy that for some people it's just like, oh, it's just like a blip in the radar, we'll go back to normal.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, no, this is the world we live in now. Like, you have to think about this, like, now.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a good place to transition into kind of, like, we've hinted at it. We've hinted at us, like, working together. And so, I mean, you reached out to us maybe a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, you're moving. Like, let me help you.
Exciting.
Yeah, this is so exciting. So this was, like, before we had anything, like, in place. We were kind of still playing around with, like, where each room is gonna go. And so we were like, yeah, we would love help. And this is my bad too, because I should have been like, what exactly do you do? Because, like, as an interior designer, I was like, oh, like, interior decorating or, like, interior organizing, as we said. And that's kind of where I was like, that's what we need help with, is, like, making spaces more functional, and a lot of it having to do with storage. And so then obviously you've mentioned that, like, interior design, you're, like, knocking down walls, and, like, a lot of the ideas that you came up with for us are phenomenal ideas, but as, like, I guess, like, as people renting and being like, we have no idea how long we're gonna stay here.
Yeah.
Like, knocking down a wall, or, like, we were playing around with the idea of, like, repainting the kitchen cabinets, which would have looked stunning, but then we're like, okay, but then we're doing that for our landlord.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, we've ultimately decided that, I mean, I feel like this whole conversation that we've had, this podcast, has led up to this, because it's, like, so many realizations. Like, we realized how much we love the process of decorating and shopping for ourselves, which is something we just, like, weren't able to hand over, which, as me, like, as a younger person, I was always like, I would love somebody to, like, come into my space and, like, just fully, like, decorate it and, like, make it whatever they want, and, like, that would be the dream. And, like, I think that's what I thought I wanted, but we didn't realize how much we love the process of building our home together.
Yeah. I feel like I also kind of felt the partnership going that way, because the way we were going about selecting furniture is very, very untraditional. It's personally, it is, I do feel like it's the best decision both ways for you guys to you know, just see what you like and feel around, because it is where you guys are living. And as a designer, you know, people can argue money, people can argue fame, or, you know, like having your name out there, but ultimately, like, I really just want my clients to be happy. Like, I don't want to just take this opportunity and just like pin my name on it, you know? Ultimately, it's about you, and I'm really happy that I was able to help you guys get there. And, you know, you guys are interior decorators. You guys are interior decorators. No school, you guys. You guys are the bomb.
No, I mean, we just, like, it's weird. That's something that we learned, is that, like, me and Nina, like, we know what we want, but we have no idea how to explain it. You know what I
We
mean?
also
Like,
don't know that we want it until we see it.
Until we
Whereas
see it,
the
yeah,
hardest
yeah.
people to shop for, which I didn't realize, I knew that, but I didn't realize how bad it would be.
Yeah.
And we're so bad at communicating, so like we were like, we need to put Taylor out of her misery because we're like not communicating with her, and this isn't working.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was.
I felt like we were wasting your time, to be honest,
Yeah,
just
no,
because like we.
Well,
yeah,
you did
we
these
were
like
just, like
amazing, like you like put together, like Taylor honestly
Amazing
was amazing.
sketches
She did
of,
like
like-
amazing sketches, which actually are still helpful because Dan will rearrange our home and be like, oh well, like Taylor put it here. So like the sketches were really helpful just in
Yeah.
terms of like where our big furniture is gonna go. But I think when it came down to like selecting the furniture, then that was where we like didn't really see eye to eye because of our processes.
And we
being
didn't
so
want to
different.
we didn't want to let go of that control, because
Yeah.
that was like something that we really like. We like came to the realization that's something that we really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Whereas like the story behind like finding it together, you know what I mean? Like, and yeah, we just love thrifting for the random things that we have in our home, and then seeing how it works together. A lot of trial and error as well.
Oh yeah.
Because like we'll bring things into our home like, yes, this is sick, this bangs, and then we're like.
Where is it gonna go though?
or like we put it somewhere and then we're like, yeah, we actually don't like that, and then we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's just sell it.
But that's our
and get rid of it.
process.
That's our process.
It's not
yeah.
efficient, but it's our process.
That is just such a great way. I mean, if you have the time to do
Yeah.
it, then honestly, like, why not?
Yeah.
That is actually, like, I don't know if you guys watch Selling Sunset.
No, I haven't, but
Okay.
I've heard good things and I do want to watch it.
Okay, so, like, in season, I don't know, I think it's season 3. No, season 2. Anyways, one of the real estate agent, her name is Amanda, and she's also, she's a stager. And she was selling a house to a designer. And and I really resonated with this specific interview that she did. It was like, you know, as a designer staging for another designer, it's hard because you don't really know where they're at, you know? And I feel like it's different because for me, I was able to have conversations with you versus for her, it was just kind of pulling things out of the air. But, you know, I feel like that's just where two creative minds are. And it's not even like creative, but it's like you guys are also very passionate about designing your space. And who am I to take that away from you? You know, you work so hard to like be here. So like hats off to you guys for just like taking the bull by the horns, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's the thing is that I think, yeah, we're just, like, two very creative, I guess, well, we're not people, me and Dan are separate people, but, like, two different creative forces, and, like, yeah, it was hard for us to see eye to eye on some things, and that was, like, totally okay. Like, the thing I appreciated most about being able to work with you was, like, how transparent and, like, okay with, like, us being like, no, we're not, like, we don't like that, or like whatever, and like not ever feeling like anything was forced upon us, which I think is so important, especially like because what you do is client work essentially. So like, yeah, like I feel like when we did have the conversation where we were like, this isn't working for us, like it was the feeling what I feel like was mutual, and like it made a lot of sense because it wasn't about, you know, like we don't appreciate each other's work. It was that like this just isn't the best relationship. And I think that's important. Like when you're, you know, even if you're ending like romantic relationships or friendships, like it's important to be able to see like this isn't serving me in the best way that it could.
Definitely.
And it was like great to just have like that conversation with you and like be on the same page. So yeah, but we're happy to support you. We love having you on the podcast.
Thank you. Honestly, like I really do cherish this experience so much. I feel like that's another thing with, I feel like one of the hardest things for my job is two things: saying no and being told no. Those are the two hardest things for me, at least. And for me, with my experiences, I really do have to thank my parents for putting me in competitive sports, because the constructive criticism, again, I live for it. That's how I challenge myself all the time. And for me, I am not a fan of like just waiting on something. Like if something is going to wait, like that opportunity can be on pause, but I'm always going to hustle for more opportunities. Like I'm always turning my head for new ways to get my foot in and get my name out. And I feel like that's also something that is distracting too from anything that, you know, with a job opportunity, like when I interview for them and they say no, that's fine. Like there's so much to do, you know, as long as you just like keep your head up and you keep going. Another thing, telling people no, it's actually really tough because for me, as a designer, you don't, once you're in the project, saying no isn't really a thing.
You have to say no before.
Yeah, you have to.
I know the feeling.
That's like where you kind of need to look at the scope of work, from my experience at least. So when you're in a project and say someone says, I really like this table, you're not going to be like, no.
Yeah.
You know, because if they like it, that's them and you're designing for them. That's something that, you know, that stands.
Yeah.
Versus if you're, for example, I was approached before, like, you know, a while ago, asking to do a project. It was in the heat of COVID and they were asking to have a clinic done in Vancouver in 2 months.
Crazy.
Yeah, and so for me it was like, wow, this is such a good opportunity, you know, like at the time I really didn't have, I had a few projects going on, but I really wanted to try to make this work. And the thing is, we want to put our best foot forward. I am not down to half-ass anything. So I was like looking at the scope of work and, you know, they wanted plumbing done, they wanted walls put up, they had a budget. And also when you touch plumbing, you touch sprinklers, you do need to run that through the city. And at the city, it takes them around 12 weeks to get back to you. So for them to say 2 months, right, they want to have it done, is really hard. And I tip my hat to anyone that is that ambitious because I feel like that is like awesome, good for them. But for me, I couldn't do that to them. Like I just need to know where I stand and my abilities, and I just knew that I couldn't pull through for them in 2 months.
So you were able to say no?
I had to say no, and it was really hard because I just didn't really know when my next opportunity would go because you're always looking for ways to add to your portfolio and update it. And to say no to that was really hard, and I don't regret it.
Good on you. That's I mean, it's not easy to say no, and I know that from like graphic design.
The worst at
like,
it.
I can't say no.
It's like homie discounts for everybody.
Homie discounts. Yeah, everyone is low key a homie. So I got you, Kim.
No, but
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, for me, I literally would, at a time, not anymore, but at a time, like, I would definitely say yes to, like, literally anyone that asked me to do something, even if I knew I didn't want to do it, or even if a part of me knew that, like, I didn't really know how to do it. I'd be like, fuck it, I'll do it, I'll take it.
But
and
I think
then,
that's the thing,
and then it takes like a few months for them to receive it, and they're like, yo, I wanted this, like.
I think there's a balance. There's a fine balance between being like, I want to challenge myself, you know, and being like, that is just so far out of my scope. So like, I have the utmost respect for you for like being able to do those two things, especially so early on in your career, because I still struggle with it. I know so many people do, like we both do, and like I've been not doing what I do for like how many years now? 4 years. And so like for you to be starting out and being able to set those boundaries for yourself is incredible, and to be able to say like, this is my limit and like this is what I want to take on, but continually being able to like not let that affect you and like just keep pushing, keep going, like the utmost respect for you, Taylor.
Thank you, guys. No, I do have to say, like, I also want to throw into that, like, the way you guys manage your lifestyles and what you guys do when you speak about, you know, like, how you considered quitting because, you know, it was hard on your mental health. And I really look up to you guys both for just, you know, not even like pulling through, because I feel like everyone has different tolerations, but just knowing you and just going for it. So I do have to tip my hat off.
Thank you. Yeah, so much love in this
Yeah, no, I was gonna say so much love. Wow, we're like actually the same person.
We're twin flames, bro.
Oh, it's so bad. We like finish each other's sentences, but like the weirdest sentences too. We spend way too much time together. Yeah. But yeah, I guess before we let you go, we have so many questions.
Yes, please.
From our audience about interior design. We asked in our stories.
Yes.
And
time to get to those questions.
Yeah.
The fun stuff.
Do you want to start with the first one, B?
All right, so we'll start with the first question. And it is, how do you know if something will go with your space before actually being able to see it in your space?
I personally really like to take measurements. I need to know the measurements of a room, and I need to know how high or how low the ceiling is, and how big the space is. Also, the furniture around it as well. So if you're looking at like a vase, for example, and you're like, this is a really cute vase, but it's like tiny, you're probably not going to be super happy with it, because then you're going to feel like you need to buy like a really expensive plant or something to complement it. Like it won't be that focal point that you initially thought it was. So I always just recommend just taking the measurements, knowing the very basic stuff, anyone can do it, and then go about it that way, because then you'll be able to see it.
I guess it's interesting that you pointed out like about it being the focal point, because that's not something that we ever think about. We're just like, we like pieces, like go, go, go. But like, I guess when you're looking at a space, you really have to think about the full space and like when someone's standing in it, like what are your eyes gravitating towards? You know, like what do you want it to be the focal point? Do not, you know, like,
Exactly.
yeah, so it's actually, yeah, I'm learning new things.
But the thing is, you guys already do that. Like I saw your old apartment tour, and you already do that.
Yeah, I guess we subconsciously do. But if I consciously did,
No,
how
but-
much faster would our process be?
But yeah, we do it through like trial and error. Cause like that our last apartment went through so many, I would say, transformations in a sense. But like, yeah, a lot of like realizing, that didn't work, and then taking it down and
Takes
putting
a
something
year.
else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, you know, I'm a graphic designer. I got some taste, you know what I mean? Like, I can see things that, you know, don't really work out.
Yeah, right.
And,
People try to convince me to buy the wackest shit, and I'm like, B.
that's because you don't see the vision, though. And then I'm too lazy to explain it to you, so I just go with whatever you feel is
But
best.
yeah, I mean, I feel like we also, for us, what really helps is like, just think about the colors that are already in there. You know, like if you have a lot of blues and yellows, like if you're introducing like a dark green, like what is that going to do to the space? Like it might bang, might not.
Oh
So.
my God, yeah.
Well, I mean, we bounce a lot off of each other, and I think, like, for me personally, like, if this question is geared towards me, I would say, like, just try my best to just, like, envision it, you know what I mean? And just, like, maybe that's, like, a part of, like, how my imagination works, but I, like, try to imagine, like, what would be really good in that space, and then, like, trying to find something that is similar, and, like, keeping that in mind when I go physically shopping. And I do the same with clothes, too, right? Where it's, like, I already have an idea of like, or an inspiration that I saw on Instagram or whatever of like an outfit that would bang. And if I'm going through Value Village, like you try to find something to fit in that. Do you know what I mean? And the fun thing about Value Village, you never know what you're going to find. So like, you just kind of have to like figure out, does this work in your own head, right? So I feel like I take that same approach with like decorating our apartment where it's like, this is, I feel like this could work. And then you build around that.
I feel like that's also why like mood boarding would help, which you did for us, which we never do.
Yeah.
I save a bunch of stuff on Instagram, which to me is a mood board, but like then it's like so many ideas. But when you mood boarded for us, like every single room, that was really helpful to be like, hey, let's contain our ideas, let's contain our color scheme, you know, instead of like, we love this, like where's it gonna go? It's like, okay, well we want the office to be a lot of green, so if we're buying green, will it work in the office?
Yeah, your sketches also helped a lot. Like when I saw the sketches, like it really kind of showed like where even existing furniture we had, like where it can go and like how it would kind of look in that space. And then also like with a sketch you can also realize that okay, maybe that doesn't work, and then you don't have to actually like move the piece of furniture there. You know what I mean?
We're planning on redoing like our entryway, and like we actually sketched because guess what, Taylor sketched for us and it was helpful.
Yeah, it's so helpful just to kind of like see, and even though if it's not to scale, you kind of just have like a good
an idea.
Yeah.
We definitely were not to scale. We're like, let's put all of this in here, and we went and looked at the space and we're like, wait, but there's no we ran out of wall. We're like, this looks so good. Yeah.
And then again
that's why you measure.
And then again we revert to like, let's just buy it and then we'll see if it fits.
Well, it's not perfect. We're not perfect at it, but implementing small ways to be more efficient. Yeah.
But yeah, like with your color, when you were talking about like color schemes, also another really important thing is just knowing which colors kind of go together. So if you are picking out a piece of furniture, I do recommend you like looking at different color schemes that work together, because you'd be surprised like the different combinations that are harmonious, that are complementary, versus if you get it wrong, you'll know you get it wrong.
Yeah.
Like you know that those colors clash, you know? So, you know, and another thing is colors are all around us. Like, a brown could be like a tone of pink, you know? So that can like work into it, but that's another thing.
Crazy. Actually, I guess to feed off of this question, I wanted to ask, like, for someone that wants to see like what something would look like before it's done, is that when you would probably go in and show them like a 3D rendering? Is that something that you would do as well?
Yeah, so I do 3D renderings and kind of like tour videos, like animations, so that's definitely something that I
And that's probably better for like when it's like a decision that would cost a lot of money, so you have to like show them what it looks like, right? So
yeah, I'm currently working on doing like this massive facility, and so it's a lot. Like it's definitely because you're basically selling a lot your idea, and you're selling the space, and your client is going to show that video and sketch to other people, so businesses are going to want to have a piece of the pie, kind of thing. So yeah,
like
it
invest? Is that,
in that specific project. So it's there's a lot that goes into it. So
Yeah, and I'm sure too, if like someone's like, I want to break down this wall and make like a crazy like bathroom, you can probably be like, this is what it might look like.
Yeah.
This is
might not be as crazy, give it the space. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, because no, I actually think of like my parents' place in Miami. I keep thinking like, if we break down this wall and just make like one really big bathroom, that would be sick. But like, obviously as a non-interior designer, like I would have no idea how to do that. So,
oh my gosh, yeah, like I
come
totally
to Miami and we can do this.
Yeah.
I literally used to think that with like my house, like I can break this wall down and like make the kitchen bigger, but then I find out later, like there's this really big pipe that you can't move, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that was like me like 5 years ago. And now I'm like, oh yeah, can't do that.
Yeah, I think it's like being able to see that, like where the restrictions are, but then also like I feel like for me personally, there's like a incapability, is that a word, of like being able to envision it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just like not able.
You see it visually.
I'm not able to envision it because I see the walls and like those walls are just there.
Yeah.
In my mind, I can't imagine what this looks like without this wall.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's really interesting when you're able to like sketch that out and be like, this is what it looks like. So you don't go about breaking a wall and then realizing I want it back.
Oh my god, that's actually a nightmare.
Which is something we would probably do.
Yeah. We'd be like, no, put it back.
Yeah, because we try shit first and then we're like,
Okay, our next question from our audience is, how do you make a space look bigger? We got a lot of questions like this. I feel like a lot of our audience is probably working with like smaller space, maybe sometimes a smaller budget.
Right.
So yeah, any tips that you have?
I love mirrors. I call them space fillers because, you know, like a corner can look really dark, or you just feel like this one part of your room is not decorated to the capability that matches the rest of your aesthetic. And it's like, oh, like just like put a mirror there and it just elongates the room, you know, and you can see yourself. So you're surrounded by winners.
And it reflects the aesthetic of what's on the other side of the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it makes it bigger. It also brightens it up too, because the light kind of bounces off the mirror, so you can
100%.
kind of
Yeah, I felt that helped a lot in our apartment too. Like where if you're in a smaller space and like one wall is like beautifully decorated, and then you put a mirror on the opposing wall, and then all of a sudden that's the best fucking selfie mirror. And like when you look in the mirror, you see the rest that's already decorated. So yeah, definitely, mirrors are sick.
Yeah, they're so like they're so subtle, but they make a huge difference.
Yeah, like when we shop, and then when she like finds sick mirrors, Nina, and then there's always like, can you have enough? Can you have too much mirrors?
Yeah, Dan's like, we already have a mirror, and I was like, excuse me, first of all. But yeah, I always make him buy mirrors, and then he's like, oh, I don't really like it. Like, I don't like the gold trim. And then he gets home, and he's like, oh, this is the best selfie mirror. I'm like, you're welcome. Yeah, and you can find a lot of mirrors, like, thrifting or, like, on Craigslist. Like, we're getting new mirrors for the first time ever just because we found, like, the perfect one that we want from IKEA. But yeah, you suggested getting for our closet, like, a floor. We were gonna just like put it up on the wall, but you were suggesting putting it on the floor and then having it all the way up because it'll make you elongated, which I'm like, yes, give me that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need that. But,
yeah, Dan was like, oh, I don't need, and I'm like, excuse me.
But yeah, another thing about like keeping your or making a space feel bigger is just work on that open floor plan. Like kind of have your idea clear, you know, you don't need to like empty out the room with the furniture, but picture about like how big your room would be with nothing in it and work on that open floor plan layout. And what I mean by that is kind of know your flow of traffic in a space and work around that and try to avoid putting up like say like a table in like the way of your path. You know, because then that just disrupts everything about it. It's like
don't clutter the walkways.
Yeah, exactly. And just making it very open is just something that I also recommend too. So.
Sick, yeah. So another question is tips for combining couple/roommate styles together.
So like if you have two people coming together in a space, maybe differing styles.
Yeah. So honestly, it's pretty much like you guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like you guys, when I was talking with you about your style, it was like I asked both of you separately, like what if you lived alone, and if you lived alone, like what would it be? And you know, Nina came from like a very like boho, you know, vibe, and then Dan came from like a very like vintage, like, you know, a little bit like rustic kind of vibe as well. And
a little bit hype beast.
Yeah, hype beast, that's the one.
Yeah.
I forgot the phrase.
Yeah.
Hype beast, that was it. But yeah, I feel like that's like the really fun part. It's like really if whether the couple hires a designer or if they just want to decorate on their own, I feel like just like having that communication and really just like knowing like where you guys can like meet in the middle. So I feel like I'm narrating what you guys do already, but like for
a
example,
bit of compromise.
Yeah, there's definitely compromise for sure. Because you wanted a lot of black in the space when we first moved in together, and I was like, hell no, that's like where I'm drawing the line. I don't want a really dark space. But then we like found that color, like bold color, was what we both really liked, and now we're moving a little bit away from that as well. But it's constant conversation is what we're having. Like every single piece, every single color, every single decision, which can get so tedious. But if you want true compromise in a space that you guys will both love, like it's a lot of communication.
Yeah. So I guess you can go about it like two ways as well, where it's like it can be divided in a sense, like where there's like sections that are so like one person's style and the other is so the other style, or you can find a way to like nicely combine them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Or like I feel as though mood boards are so underrated because you can really see what the aesthetic is gonna really like voice out to you once it's done. And if the two parties like it, then you know that's kind of like how it would proceed. Because with design, what I really rely on is like the communication with the mood, the precedent board, which is concept, and then the furniture board. So every time I check in with my clients, it would be like, how's this for a mood? And they'd give me the okay or the no-okay. And then I would move on to the precedent board. And then as we move on to the furniture, then I feel like we both have that, we're on the same page. So I feel like if you are rooming with someone and you're looking for pieces that complement you both, I feel like that's a great way to, you know, just send stuff to each other through Instagram, Messenger, and you know, there's so much going on. Pinterest, honestly, I live on that stuff. So
Yeah, and I feel like being able to have the conversation too about, obviously like we're speaking from our own perspective, like we're very much like we want our space to like really embody us, and like we want to have a space that works really well for the both of us, and not everyone's like that. So I feel like even just getting that understanding, like if you're moving in together for the first time or if you have a roommate, like what does the space mean to you? You know, like what do you want it to really say about you, I guess. If like for one person that might not be important, so they might even be like, you know, take full reign. But like what we realized when we moved in together is that we both really, really care, which makes it really, really hard. But if we, you know, like if you didn't really care so much, then it would have just been all me. So like I feel like having that conversation is also important to like determine where somebody's feeling about their space in general.
Yeah, I feel like we found like that happy medium of like, yeah, because there's a lot of parts in our home where I have like my section, which like, you know what I mean? It's like the things that bring me joy. Do you know what I mean?
And I give that to you.
Yeah, of course. And then there's parts where like are like solely for you, and I understand that. You know what I mean? I think it's just like also a part of like I mean, as an interior designer, that's like your part to like find a way to make that combine, but then it's also on like the people living together to realize that like, all right, this is really important to my partner or my roommate, so I should just, you know, let them
Sometimes
have
you
it.
step back. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like, you know, there's certain things where I feel that you're like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, if he wants his little books and toys in a corner. Which I'm just pointing in the corner of our office right now.
Our office is probably what we're working on currently, and like Dayon wanted to get like a Fugazi cause mouse pad, and I was like, well, if you're gonna get that, then like, you know, like we could either do half the office is your aesthetic and half the office is my aesthetic, but I feel like it would be nice like the rest of our home where it's combined, so then we were shopping for mouse pads together, and then we were like, do you like this? And I liked one, he didn't like it, and then we eventually found one that we both like. So I think that's just
time and compromise in a sense.
It's a lot of time.
Like
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, coming to an agreement where it's like, yeah, you both like what you find out what you both equally mutually like.
And I think it's also being able to be very flexible, because like I don't think that a lot of our aesthetic is something that I would have chosen, you know, like years ago, but like I've been able to grow and evolve, and I still love our home, and like I love it probably more than what I would be able to create on my own.
I like how these questions are for Taylor and we just make it about us.
No, but you know what? Like, that's the thing. It's like, I've actually, for a personal experience, I love how you guys are talking about this, because for me, I've literally roomed with I've roomed in Vancouver for like, you know, a couple months, and I feel like you guys can speak to your personal experience better about this. But I feel like in terms of selecting furniture for two people, it really is just about communication, because at the end of the day, if you're like we've been reiterating through this whole process, is that you are going to be living in the space, so you better like it.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like, I guess like we don't really have that. Actually, do we have this experience where it's like, did you ever really hate something that I really liked?
Not really, no.
No, right? But I guess like, so let's say if you have a roommate or a partner and they like, you don't want to walk around the house and be like, I fucking hate this, and I just can't wait to.
Yeah, but we got rid of it. I got you to get rid of it.
Exactly. So
the
bench
that you bought at Home Depot. I was just no. When we first moved in together, and Dan was just trying to fill the space with just stuff because I wasn't there yet, and he was like, no, this is cute, guys. You should have seen. I think the first vlog of us moving in together, you saw what Dan bought, and I was like, no.
Yeah, I was just trying to fill the space. But again, so like what I'm saying is like, it's also you have to have that communication and like also that understanding of like, how much does this really matter, and like, is it worth, like, do I love it enough to like see you go to see you go through like how much you hate it, you know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't really care for those pieces that you hated, but like, let's say if it is something that I really loved, and we can communicate that, and like I can try to explain why I really love it, but if it really brings you just so much anger and hatred, then get rid of that thing.
And you know what? These skills, like, it's good to practice it, because like the skill of letting go, you know, I feel like that translates into our relationship at large. Like whenever we get into arguments, I feel like now I'm a lot faster at being able to just let go. It's like, do I need to be this upset about it? Like, it's fine, let it go. Yeah. Donating
is also such a thing that I hold close to my heart, and I feel like that also makes a lot of letting go easier, because something that you used to really like I had this Molly doll that I just loved so much. I took her everywhere, and then recently I was like, you know what, this doll is going to make someone very, very happy. So
exactly.
You know?
So our last question is, how do you incorporate baby safety in interior designing? And I'm glad someone else asked this, because I do also wonder.
So for me, I feel like my analogy personally is like, if you ever have like a dog, like a medium-sized dog with a really big tail, and it starts wagging its tail, and like, I don't know if you guys have ever had this, but it's happened to me, but my dog just like knocks everything off the table with its tail. I kind of use that as kind of like a base kind of rule.
So you just bring a pit bull in and you're like, run.
Have my dog like, hey, just
see what you can knock down.
But that's just kind of like my baseline. So just make sure that nothing can be like reached over. Avoid sharp angles. So like I would actually use like, I don't know if you guys like see those little like cushiony
little like bumper things.
Yeah, but with houses now, I feel like either you're in a really large place or a really small place. So for large places, I just know now like a lot of people who live in these big houses in LA, they actually kind of like gate a lot of the section off, because a lot of it is like hardwood floor and you want to put like a mat down. But if it's a smaller place, I recommend that anything that can be reached is good for the baby. So that's actually why for one of the sketches that I did for you guys, and I will reveal some of the sketches that I've provided and mood boards for you guys to see, but in your living room I had like, I'm not sure if you incorporated it, but I had it kind of sectioned off as the bottom part is Blue's stuff and then the top part is your guys' stuff. So if Blue wants to take a ball or, you know, then that's completely fine. So just, you know, like making sure that anything that could be like a choking hazard obviously is just like out of the way. But but I feel like keeping an open layout concept is super helpful too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do so much baby proofing because Blue is gonna start crawling any day now, and I'm like so anxious about it because I'm like, there's so much crap on the floor. Yeah, we're gonna have to like quarantine him.
Oh, and once they start opening drawers too, like my friend in Serbia, when his son just kept playing with pots and pans and stuff and just kept pulling them out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of proofing and stuff, but yeah.
So that is all the time that we have today. Thank you so much, Taylor. You can use this time to plug yourself. Make sure everybody goes and follows your Instagram.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that I'm really honored to be your guys' first guest. So thank you so much for having me. If there's one thing that I have to say for any of those future designers or anyone that is just feeling a little lost with like what they want to do, I think that it's so important now more than ever to be honest with yourself and what you want and what you stand for, because our generation, we're so fortunate to be in the place that we're at right now where our voice matters and we make up a lot of the votes. I feel like we underestimate how much power we have as young people. So if you believe in changing something that, or breaking the mold, breaking tradition, like sustainability is something that I personally strive to live by. Do what is challenging for you and make sure that you're not letting anyone above you, someone with more experience, talk you down from it, because you know, you only live once, you only have one life to live. So
so inspirational.
100%.
I love it. I could not have asked for a better first guest. Thank you so much for being our guinea pig. But make sure tell people where they can follow you so that they can get more Taylor.
So my Instagram handle is at Taylor Reiko Design. Follow me for any inspiration. I post every so often, and I will definitely be sharing a lot of the material that I actually sent Nina and Dan for their place. So you can see me there.
And how can someone reach out to you if they want to work with you? Yes.
If you have a space, if you want to collaborate, anything, you know how to reach me, you know where to reach me, and I'm always open to.
Instagram is the place, right?
Yes, I'm actually working on a website, so that's dropping very soon.
Yay! That's exciting. That's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you'll find her handle in our episode description. We'll also have it tagged in our post on Instagram at Neens Deens, so you guys can find her through that way as well. But yeah, I am at Your Girl Neens.
And I'm Dan's Day Off.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.